Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. My name is Ace and I got more TF2 reviews here for you because I will be showing you guys all the new weapons and draw some comparison videos so you can check out the speed difference between the babyface blaster and the regular scattergun, etc, etc. That's the plan for this video. So if you are just looking for a specific class, what you can do is go to the description box and look for the time codes for your class so you can skip any class that you don't want to see. And I will be covering also the new weapons of the Pyro, which are of course the Lollychop and the Rainblower, and those were not announced to prevent spoilers in the Meet the Pyro video, but they are currently in game, so I'll be checking those out as well. One thing to note is that the weapons itself are not that expensive for Valve weapon prices, because normally Valve's weapons are rather expensive, and it's rather sometimes disgusting because they're like €7 for the vlog. Like, why? But those are all relatively, cheap in comparison, so that's kinda nice, I reckon. Still a little bit too expensive for just a weapon, but then again, they are just new, so what are you going to expect? Also, for the soldier, which you may already have noticed, is that the soldier has, well, the equalizer has split into weapons. And that's a nerf, obviously, because the escape plan is basically your speed buff when you get injured while it blocks healing, where the equalizer is basically increases damage while it blocks healing. Of course, when you get more injured. So it's too bad because the equalizer itself before the patch was of course rather powerful, perhaps even overpowered arguably. So it was a nerf that I would expect, but I don't know, I would like to see which one becomes more used when it actually comes down to competitive play. I think the escape plan, for obvious reasons, because I do think that a shotgun is going to be the weapon of choice close ranged if you don't want to hurt yourself, but we'll see about that. Anyway, let's get going into the Scout, shall we? Scattergun and the pistol are the weapons that are new to the Scout. The Scattergun is called Babyface Blaster. 40% less accuracy, has a build boost mechanic. The more hits you do, without jumping of course in between, the faster you go until you double your base speed. Even though you take a 30% damage penalty and a 35% slower movement speed when you are wearing this weapon, so keep that in mind. Of course, the Pretty Boys pocket pistol, 15 more health, max health on the wearer, as well as no falling damage. But you do have a 25% slower firing speed as well as 50% more fire damage. Rather interesting. So we got here a scattergun comparison of the movement speed. On your left your regular, on the right the baby's face. And as you can clearly tell, the base movement speed is rather slow. It puts you basically on par with the other classes. Now if you have a max boost, you can directly tell you are significantly faster than the regular scattergun. But if you jump, you reset your entire meter. Based on the damage, you can already tell that it takes about 3 shots, and you can already tell that the meat shot difference is also quite noticeable in the damage output. It takes three shots to take out a demo or a pyro. The regular scattergun, on the other hand, does that in 2. So if that's worth the trade, who knows. Falling damage, of course, on your left, the regular pistol on your right, the pocket pistol, you can clearly tell the more health you have, as well as you take no falling damage, even though the regular pistol does. And of course a speed comparison, a firing speed comparison. This is the regular pistol, a lot fast, reliable, the way to go in my opinion, where the new pistol, the pocket pistol, as you can clearly see, the damage is pretty much the same, but the firing speed is significantly lower. Moving into the soldier, the Beggar's Bazooka, which is an interesting change to the stock, because if you look at it, you can't regularly shoot, you have to load your ammo first, and if you keep loading it, you can shoot a barrage, but if you overload it, you will misfire, think Huntsman-like. And of course there's going to be a projectile deviation of +3, and of course you can't collect ammo from dispensers. So looking at both rocket launchers, if you just shoot rockets, of course the stock rocket launcher is faster and more accurate, where the Beggar's Bazooka is of course a lot less accurate and a lot slower because you have to load each rocket. But the main mechanic of course is the barrage that you can load. You can load up to 3 rockets and unleash them like that. But if you overload, you basically cause a misfire, and the other weapon in the game of course that only misfires is the Huntsman. But this is a little bit more dangerous. If you overload, not do you misfire, but you explode, which almost kills yourself, but you still can shoot your barrage if you are fast enough. While if you wait a little bit longer with your loading of rockets, you can clearly tell that you will die. So be safe with that. Moving on to the sniper, Two weapons for the sniper, the Hitman Heatmaker, which is the sniper rifle. Very interesting focus mechanic. If you make kills or assists, your focus meter will fill up, and when it's active, you can basically refill it while it's active by killing and assisting, so you can keep it up indefinitely as long as you can make your kills and assists. And it also shoots a trace rifle, much like the Makina, when it's active and you make a shot, so keep that in mind. You literally become a sitting duck, because you also can't move fast while you're scoped in, obviously. Also, it promotes headshots because you take a damage penalty to body shots. The cleanest carbine, finally a new SMG. 3 seconds of 100% crit chance when you make a kill. So very nice for huntsman snipers or snipers that like to be in the front line, but you do take a penalty to clip size as well as firing speed. So let's get going. So the sniper is very interesting and possibly even overpowered. Don't quote me on that, I have to see it in action first. Because 3 headshots to fill up your focus meter, and once you do that, you get increased charge rate. You do get a trace rifle, just like the Makina, which basically makes you a sitting duck because you aware everybody to where you are sitting. But you don't have to scope out, you can keep headshotting without having to, rescope if you like. And you can refill your focus meter constantly by killing and assisting. SMGs, different firing speeds, nothing too out of the ordinary, but if you choose the carbine and you get a kill, you get your crits. The best part though is that you can keep critting, keep killing, and you keep your crits indefinitely. So very nice. The very fun part is though, if you see at the focus meter, you can also fill it up by using your SMG. And then once you activate it by focusing in and you then switch to your SMG, you start to shoot lasers. It has no additional benefit besides just a visual benefit, but I just figured it would be nice to show you because I found it interesting to say the least. It's probably a bug, but if it's intended, I'm not gonna complain. And at last, the Pyro. And the Pyro's weapons were delayed with the announcement because otherwise they would have been spoiling the Meet the Pyro video. But there's nothing really out of the ordinary here. They are just very powerful reskins. The Rainblower is basically a very powerful reskin for the Flamethrower. So nothing out of the ordinary right there. The Scorch Shot is basically the only weapon that has a changed mechanic compared to the stock flare gun. And I will be covering that one because it's very interesting to play with, to say the least. And of course the Lollychop, which is just a fire axe, which is a gigantic lollipop, which you can use then to chop people's heads off. Yeah. So like I stated, the Rainblower is basically just a reskinned Flamethrower, and it's a very nice model, very high quality I find. And you can already tell it's basically the same air blast ammo price, the damage is the same, and as you can see, if people are on fire with this weapon, they don't burn, they sparkle, but the damage is pretty much the same. And for the Lollychop, it's practically the same thing as well. As you can see right here on the Spy, 65 damage, and a crit is basically your standard melee crit. But you do get some balloons and all kinds of nice stuff. But the flare gun is where it's at. It's a very weird mechanic, because it pushes people back while doing less damage. As you can see right here, 15 damage is your base damage. And if you crit, a random crit perhaps is 45 damage. The flare gun does not crit if you hit a burning target with it, which is too bad. As you can see right here on the medic, doing 15 damage, it's burning, hitting again, just 15 damage. There's no increased damage if you hit people that are already on fire. It's a small pushback, so I'm not sure if that's going to be useful at some point. But the weirdest thing about this flare gun is the splash damage. It's unreliable splash damage. It's not like the detonator. You can see that the flare projectile stays alive. You can see that, and it basically bounces about in the air a little bit and hits multiple people. As you can see right there, I hit the soldier twice with the flare projectile, and that's the splash damage. It basically bounces around or flies around a little bit in the air, and it comes down and does a small amount of splash damage, which then ignites other people. So it's really unreliable, which is unfortunate, but that's how this flare gun right now works. So let me know what you guys think, and I will catch you guys next time.